Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into October's bargain bead box. It is beautiful as usual. If you love owls, you are gonna love this box. There are a lot of owls in this box and I had a lot of fun with it. Again, it's jam-packed with little mini tutorials, which I'm sure you're gonna love. And I'm getting this one out quite early compared to what I normally do. So let's get started with this video. This is the first piece that I made out of the collection. This is what I call the owl bracelet. And this is very simple. This is just a matter of taking your 6-pound or 8-pound fire line and just beading on all these beads. It's very simple. So I used a 3mm faceted hessonite garnets, one on either side. So this one here and this one here. And that's number 1 on your list. I use the 18 by 9mm double-sided owl charms. Aren't these so cute? So it doesn't matter which way they're facing, they're still as beautiful on both sides. That's number 4 on your list. I use the 7mm leaf spacer beads, and that's these here. And that is number 9 on your list. And then I use the 4mm bicones, and this is in orange AB. Aren't those gorgeous? You know, just in time for the fall season. Beautiful. And these are number 11 on your list. And then use the 13 by 8mm faceted twisted beads in light topaz luster. Aren't those beautiful? And I just thought they would look so pretty on a bracelet. And then I used the 16 by 6mm brass magnet barrel clasp to finish it off. And that's number 8 on your list. And what I like about the magnetic clasps is that they're so easy to put on. If you have long nails like I do, it's easy to put them on, take them off. So for this next piece, this is my leaf finger bracelet. I've always wanted a bracelet like this, so I decided it was time to make myself one. So what I used was a 3mm faceted hessonite garnets. That's these ones here. That's number 1 on your list. I used the 4x3mm textured chain, and that is for the actual piece that goes over your finger. And that's number 2 on your list. I used a 35.5 by 14mm feather link, this one here. Aren't they pretty? Really nice. And that is number 3 on your list. And then I used a 6 by 5mm crystal faceted lantern beads. That's these ones here. And those are in slate dark vitriol. They pretty. Very shiny, very sparkly. I used a 7mm leaf spacer beads. That is these ones here. And these ones. And that is number 9 on your list. I used the 4mm bicones in orange AB, and that's all along the edge here and some in the back as well. And that is number 11 on your list. And then I used the 8mm faceted carnelian beads, and that's these beautiful ones here, these big beads here. And that is number 15 on your list. And I sewed everything together with my own 11/0 seed beads, and these are in antique bronze. And then I used my own toggle clasp. They'd only given us the one magnetic clasp. There was nothing left in the way of clasps, so I brought some of mine out. And actually I don't have a lot of these antique bronze. I'm gonna have to get more because they are very, very pretty. So I'm gonna show you in a little mini tutorial how I made this bracelet. As you can see, I've put 14 of the 8mm carnelian beads on here with 3 antique bronze 11/0s in between all of that, and then 3 on either side. And honestly, you just have to measure your wrist to see how long you want it. This will be for a medium-sized wrist. I have a medium-sized wrist. So if you have a medium-sized wrist, then you can use this particular pattern. But honestly, this pattern works. It doesn't matter how many carnelian beads you put on there. Just make sure that you measure your wrist and take into consideration what size toggle clasp or any kind of clasp that you're going to be using on there as well. So I put on when I got to the end, I put on one side of the toggle clasp. So you just put, thread it through and then go through the 3 11/0s and 1 carnelian bead. Then you go through 2 11/0s on the other side of that bead. You add one of your bicones, 1 11/0 seed bead, bypass the seed bead, go back through the bicone. Then you take your thread and you head the opposite direction again, going through the other side of the 11/0 on the bottom of that bicone, and then the one next to it on your left, the carnelian bead, and then head over 2 seed beads to start the next sequence with the bicone. And you do that all the way across until you get to the other side. Here you can see I'm going through the 3 last bicones and I'm adding my other side of the toggle clasp to the bracelet, and then I'm going to go back down the other way and continue with adding the bicones and the seed beads exactly the same way as you did, but just on the other side, and head all the way down to the other side. Here you can see now I'm back to the beginning again. I went through those 3 seed beads, through the toggle clasp again, then back down those 3 seed beads. And that just reinforces it a little bit. And then you go through the carnelian bead and through the first seed bead on the left of that carnelian bead. Go through your 1 bicone, as you can see here. Then go through your seed bead on top of the bicone, heading down the bracelet again. Then you add one of the bicones, then you add one of the 3mm faceted garnets, and then a bicone, and then go through the next 11/0 seed bead on the next bicone sticking up there. Go all the way down the bracelet with this combination between all the 11/0s. Pull your thread through the end, and then come back the same exact way with that combination on the other side of the bracelet. Now when you're at the beginning of the bracelet again, make sure that you're coming out the right side of the very last 11/0 seed bead on the first bicone, and then you add 1 garnet, 1 11/0, 1 barrel bead, 1 11/0, and 1 garnet. Go across to the other 11/0 seed bead on the other side, as you can see here, and go through your beads. Take your thread through your beads. Go through all those beads until you get to the next 11/0 that's on top of the next sequence of bicones, as you can see here. Then add your leaf spacer bead, 1 11/0 seed bead, and 1 leaf spacer bead, and you can have them facing whichever way that you'd like. I just preferred this way. And then you go back down and opposite direction again through that bottom 11/0 on that sequence of beads, and come back through the leaf spacer bead, the 11/0, and a leaf spacer bead, and then head back the other direction through the 11/0, through the bicone, the garnet, and the bicone, and the next 11/0. And then you just do the same thing again, your garnet, your 11/0, barrel bead, 11/0, garnet, sorry, lantern bead. I said a barrel bead, it's actually a lantern bead, I'm sorry. So that was a lantern bead at the beginning, this is a lantern bead here. I'm sorry, my mistake. Then go down, go back in the opposite direction, pull your beads through, and exactly the same thing, go back up through that same sequence of beads, your garnet, your 11/0, your lantern bead, your 11/0, and your garnet, and continue that the length of the bracelet. And as you can see now, the bracelet is done. I just reinforced it by going around the length of the bracelet one more time just to stiffen it up just a little bit. And then for the piece that fits over the finger, I just added 3 of the 11/0s, 1 of the spacer leaf beads, a garnet, a leaf bead, a garnet again, and then just went through the first loop of the leaf link, and back down again, and then went through some of the beads on that first row where you see the bicones and the garnets, and then tied that off. And then as you can see here, I just added a jump ring, and then I cut a length of chain that was comfortable on my own finger. Now one thing you got to note is that with the chain, you don't want it sitting on top of that knuckle there. You want it to sit kind of under your knuckle. So you just got to measure and make sure between your knuckle and your wrist where you want the bracelet to be sitting that the leaf link and the leaf spacers aren't going to be too long, because you don't want it sitting on top of your knuckle. I found that to be uncomfortable. I actually had the leaf sitting up a little bit higher and the chain was shorter, and it just did not feel really good on my wrist. As you can see here, it fits really nice and it's very comfortable. And like I said, I always wanted one. I've seen pictures of them on Pinterest and I've seen people wearing them. I just had to have one. So I made one for myself and I think it looks really pretty. So for the hand carved owl pendant, I did not know what to do with this. I knew like always, I can never leave it alone. It can't just be put on a chain and left. I have to, I'm so extravagant when it comes to adding so much stuff. But I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it. And even after I had started this piece, after I got the initial base done, I still wasn't sure if I was going to like it. But I thought I'll keep going, see how it looks. I mean, I can always take it apart. Yikes. But when I was finally done and I put it on, I am in love with this. It's such a unique and interesting piece. I think it worked out really nice. You can always add to it even more if you wanted, but I mean, my extravagance had to stop somewhere. So this is where it actually stopped. And I used the 4x3mm texture chain for the end pieces of this pendant, and that is number 2 on your list. And I used the 35.5 by 14mm feather links, so 2 of them right here. That's number 3 on your list. The 18 by 9mm double-sided owl charms, these ones here. And I'm telling you, I love these. These are really cute. And I popped one in the middle there just to fill up this empty space. And I think it looks really nice in there. It's very unique. These are number 4 on your list. I used the 4mm garnet beads. So that is these ones here. Right here. And those are number 6 on your list. I used a 6x5mm crystal faceted lantern beads in slate dark vitriol, and that's these ones here. And that's number 7 on your list. And I used the 4mm bicones in orange AB. I love these. I think they just bring a beautiful touch, fall touch to this piece. I just love that color. That is gorgeous. And these are those are number 11 on your list. And then the 22mm hand carved owl here. And of course they gave a pinch bail, which I did use. Normally I don't use these type of bails. I prefer to either make my own or to use pretty beefy jump rings. But I thought, you know, you have it. I'm going to show you what it looks like with that on. You can use it or not use it. It's totally up to you. But I think this is gorgeous. And again, I love owls. This whole piece just screams fall to me. I just love that. I think it's so pretty. And then for this particular piece, I did use a piece of the 4x3mm textured chain. And it's not very long. I think there's like 10 links on there. 9 links on there, maybe. 9 or 10 links on there. The 11/0 seed beads to put everything together. I used my own square toggle clasp. This is the exact same one I used on the bracelet as well. This is in antique bronze. And some beefy jump rings. Now these are the only ones I actually had. I did have some really thin antique bronze jump rings, but I didn't want to use them here. I wanted to use something a little bit bigger. So I used a little bit bigger to put, you know, to hold these together. And we're gonna get a mini tutorial going for you so you can make this if you want to. Okay, as you can see in this clip, we were working from left to right. And the first set of 11/0 seed beads, there's 8 11/0 seed beads. I'm using 1 of the bicone beads, and then I'm putting 7 11/0 seed beads on the other side. Then I'm adding the 4 garnet beads, the 4mm garnet beads onto my thread, and then coming back around and going through the very first garnet bead that we added. Then you add 7 11/0 seed beads, and then you add your 4 garnet beads. You go all the way across until you have 10 of the 4 garnet bead combination on your chain, and then you add 1 bicone bead, and then you put 13 beads, 13 11/0 seed beads on the other side. So that'll be your end side. Then you go back around bypassing 6 of the 11/0 seed beads and go through the rest of the beads and the bicone bead. Then make your way down, back down through the beads to the 3rd bicone. Add 4 11/0 seed beads, go through the top loop of the reversible owl link, and then go back through that very first 11/0 seed bead and pull it tight. Then add 2 11/0 seed beads to your thread and go through all those 11/0 seed beads and the first garnet on the other side of the bicone, as you can see in the picture here. And then make sure you take your thread all the way through to the next bicone bead, as you can see here. And then add 3 11/0 seed beads to your thread, go through the top loop of the next reversible owl link, then go through the first 11/0 seed bead, pull it tight, and add 3 11/0 seed beads to your thread, and then up and through the next sequence of 11 seed beads on the other side of that bicone bead. And this is what it should look like. And then we're going to go across and down through the next 4 garnet sequence here, and make sure that you're coming out of the bottom garnet. Then add 4 11 seed beads, go through the top loop of whichever way you decide to put your leaf link, go through the top loop, and then go back through the first bicone and pull it tight. Then add 6 11 seed beads and go back to the other side of that same garnet bead and go through that garnet bead. Then make your way up the garnets to the top garnet and go through those 11 seed beads on the left hand side of that garnet, through the bicone bead, and keep going across, missing 3 bicones, and then down through the next garnet bead sequence. Add 7 11 seed beads, go through the top loop of your next leaf link, go through the first 11 seed bead on that sequence and pull it tight. Add 3 11 seed beads and then go through the garnet as shown in this frame, and that is what it should look like. And then, as you can see, I'm going to make my way over so I can add the other 2 reversible owl links, and again add 4 11 seed beads, go through the top loop of your owl, go back through the first 11 seed bead and pull it tight. Add 2 11 seed beads, put your needle through the 11 on the other side of your bicone bead and go through all those beads till you get to the other side on the right hand side of your bicone bead. And then just repeat, but in the opposite direction. So 3 11 go through the top loop of your owl link, go through the first 11 seed bead, pull tight, and then you add 3 11 seed beads and go in the sequence of 11 on the left hand side of your bicone bead. And then I took another piece of thread, went through the length of my necklace, and then just added 1 more owl reversible link in the middle here, just to take up a little bit of space and put something in there, because without it, it just seemed a little bit open, a little bit too open. There just had to be something there. And I put 3 11 seed beads, did the first loop like I did with the other ones, and then went through that first 11 seed bead, added 2 11 seed beads, and then proceeded across. And then as you can see here, I basically just added the lantern bead, 4 11 seed beads on this side, 4 on this side, and then just took my thread and went through there a couple of times just to tighten it up, and then tied off. And as you can see here, this is the end. Don't forget to do the exact same thing on the other side. I forgot to tell you that. There's 13 beads here total. And then you just have the 6, make the loop and go back through the rest of the beads and then just tighten up and tie off. And then you used a jump ring, fairly beefy jump ring again, to add a loop to the end, and my chain and my toggle clasp. And like I said, I think it worked out really nice. This definitely needed to have like all this extravagance. I think it looks really pretty. I just couldn't leave it alone. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't do it. But it looks really pretty. Very nice to wear in the fall. This is a very simple chain that I made, and I made this one specifically to go on the hand-carved owl pendant. I like to layer my pieces, so I decided to make this one, and I had a few carnelian beads. They give us a lot in this box, so I had quite a few waiting to be used, so I decided to make a piece that I could layer, wear on its own. I think layering pieces is beautiful. So what I did was I used 3mm faceted hessonite garnets. That's these ones here. These are number 1 on your list. And then I used the 8mm faceted carnelian beads. So these ones here. And again, you can make it as long or as short as you want. Aren't they pretty? And those are number 15 on your list. I used a 7mm leaf spacer bead for the end of that. That's number 9 on your list. And then I used the textured chain, 4x3mm textured chain, number 2 on your list to finish it all off. Now all I had left for clasps was this lobster claw clasp. Now this is in antique bronze. It just seems to be off color a little bit, but I mean, that's okay. It's only gonna sit in the back under the hair, so it's not a big deal. My own jump rings, and then 11 seed beads to form the loop here and throughout, so 3 on either side of the garnet. And this is so simple and it looks so pretty, layered with the owl pendant. Really, really nice. So this is the red tiger's eye bracelet. I absolutely love these beads. They are gorgeous. Like, look at how they shine even in this horrible studio lighting. Like when you go outside, this is stunning. I just fell in love with these beads. I had to make a bracelet with them. So I used the 35.5 by 14 millimeter feather link on one side. This is number 3 on your list. And then I used the 10 millimeter red tiger's eye beads. And these are heat treated. Aren't those gorgeous? Now, they didn't give us any bead caps, but I just had to use bead caps for this bracelet. I really wanted an unusual textured look to this piece. So I used textured petal bead caps. Now, you can use any bead caps that you want. These are just ones that I had in this specific color with antique bronze. And then what I did was I put them over top of each one of these tiger's eye. I added 3 11-0 seed beads inside, as you can see. And then I put the petal beads back to back, and then 3 more 11-0 seed beads, and then continued like that all the way across. And I'm telling you, this bracelet looks so unique. I really like the look of this. Very pretty. And as always, seed beads, 11-0 seed beads in the antique bronze. I used 3 of my jump rings just to adjust for the size of my wrist. You can see in this frame here how the lobster claw clasp, I've clasped it onto the leaf link, and I think it looks really pretty. And again, beautiful texture, and what a gorgeous piece to wear for the fall. Even into winter. I mean, you don't have to wear them just in fall, but beautiful. I really like the way this one turned out. So for the large round owl pendant, this is a 46 by 38 millimeter owl pendant. This is number 13 on your list. Very beautiful. I really like this. I wanted to keep it slightly more simple, but still wanted to add a little something to it. So I used the textured chain, so the 4 by 3 millimeter textured chain. This is number 2 on your list. And on the back, I put them together with a jump ring. And what I did was I pulled the links through this side of the owl, because they do fit in there. And basically what it does, it just locks it into place so nothing moves after. You don't have to do it on this side. I just did it on this side. There's nothing to lock it in here, but if you lock it in here, it fits beautifully. It doesn't move at all. All I did was take a bunch of different beads and cluster a few of them together, sewing them in and out of the textured chain and holding them into place with an 11-0 seed bead of the same color. And that's what I did down here, just to cluster a little bit together. You could make a lot larger cluster if you wanted, different shapes, it doesn't matter. And this just added a little bit of something to this beautiful owl. And then I used the textured chain, and I cut a fairly nice long piece because I wanted it to hang down quite a bit. And then at the end, I wanted to use the 13 by 8 millimeter crystal faceted twist beads. These are in light topaz luster. These are number 14 on your list. And then I used my own bead caps to cover each side. And then the antique bronze half round wire in 21 gauge to create the loops to go through the chain, and then to create a loop on the other side for the jump ring and the lobster claw that I added. And I like doing that every once in a while. I think this looks really pretty. And again, it's a beautiful piece you can layer with any of the other pieces. Specifically the carnelian chain, I think it looked really nice paired with this one as well. And I had to do a memory wire bracelet. Like I said before, I really enjoy these bangle style bracelets. I love the way this one turned out, and again, this will look good with anything that was made here today. I used the 12 by 8 millimeter faceted crystal barrel beads in ivory luster, so that's this one here. I used the 6 millimeter English cut carnelian beads, number 16 on your list right here, and then the 10 millimeter crystal faceted half matte beads, number 18 on your list. And this is how I put everything together. And then I put at the end, because I only have the silver memory wire, so I put 2 bead caps opposite each other at the end, and then put my little loops inside as far as I could get them. But honestly, you're not going to see that when you put your bracelet on. But I think it turned out really pretty. And if you like the bangle style bracelet, memory wire is the way to go. And of course, you always have to make earrings to go with everything. I love earrings. You have to at least create a few earrings in the collection. And this is the first set that I made, the crystal barrel earrings. So I used the 4 millimeter garnet beads, and that's in here. That's number 6 on your list. 6x5mm crystal faceted lantern beads in slate dark vitriol, and that's these ones here. That's number 7 on your list. And 12x8mm faceted crystal barrel beads in ivory luster, and that's these ones here. And very simple to put together. As you can see, I added a couple of bead caps, 11/0 seed beads to pull everything together, and one 11/0 seed bead down here to hold it all together. And you will notice that I've used antique silver ear wires. Now I've started having problems myself with wearing ear wires that are coated like the antique copper, antique bronze. I'm having problems with my ears. I seem to be reacting. So I had to go back to stainless steel or surgical steel in my earrings. So if you suffer from that, please definitely use that. It's still gonna look really good when you wear the earrings, but these will not react if you have a problem with that, which I seem to be having now. So they still look really good. And my cute little owl earrings. Of course they had to be earrings. And these owl charms definitely have a back on these ones. So when you put the earrings together, just beware of how you're putting your ear wire on there. And then I used the 6x5mm crystal faceted lantern bead in there in slate dark vitriol, number 7 on your list. Used my own bead caps and my half round wire in antique bronze to put everything together. And again, ear wires, these are stainless steel. And these are gonna look great with everything that was made here today. Aren't they pretty? And by the time I got to these earrings, I had only 2 tiger's eye beads left. So I decided, yep, they have to be earrings. Red tiger's eye beads. These are heat treated. They are number 5 on your list. My own bead caps, half round wire in antique bronze to put everything together. And as usual, stainless steel ear wires. These look really beautiful in the sun. If you go outside, you'll know what I'm talking about. They're gorgeous. So for my final piece, now this is the actual last piece that I made. All these beads were sitting here. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do with all these beads. There was a lot of them actually I still had left after all that jewelry that I made. And I thought like I could put them away, but I didn't really want to. I still had one owl left, these gorgeous beads, these carnelian beads. So this is what I came up with. So I used the 18x9mm double-sided owl charm, so that one here. So it doesn't matter whichever way it flips, it's always facing forward. Number 4 on your list, the 6x5mm crystal faceted lantern beads in slate dark vitriol, and that's these ones here. And in here you can see I used. And that's number 7 on your list. 4mm bicone in orange AB, 1 right there. It's all I had left. Out of all those bicones, I had 1 left. And that is number 11 on your list. The 13x8mm crystal faceted twist beads. So that's these beautiful beads right here. Very sparkly and gorgeous. Just love the way these move. The way they sparkle in the light is absolutely stunning. These are in light topaz luster, number 14 on your list. 8mm faceted chameleon beads, these ones here. And that is number 15 on your list. And then the 10mm crystal faceted half matte beads. So that's these ones here. And then one right here. They are absolutely stunning. Number 18 on your list. This whole piece, when it shines in the sun, it just sparkles. It looks gorgeous. So I have a mini tutorial for this one as well for you. So as you can see in here in this clip, you're going to add these beads. Now I have 11/0 seed beads in here. 11/0 seed beads, 1 carnelian bead, 2 11/0 seed beads, 1 carnelian bead, 2 11/0 seed beads, and this bead that I used, I can't remember offhand what the name of it is. I will put it up on screen for you, but we'll put large seed bead. That's what I'm going to say. But on the screen, I will let you know exactly what type of bead that is. I just can't remember at the moment. 1 of the faceted twist beads. So I'm going to say the crystal twist bead. 1 of the large seed bead, 2 11/0 seed beads, 1 carnelian bead, 5 11/0 seed beads, and go all the way around, as you can see in this frame. And what I did was I went around again and bypassed my starting point, which is on the left-hand side. So I went by the last carnelian bead and went through the next 5 11/0 seed beads to create the first ring of beads. After I went through the 5 11/0 seed beads, I went back down through all the carnelian, the 3 seed beads, the twist bead, twist crystal bead, the 3 seed beads, and the carnelian. And then this is where I added my next sequence of beads. So as you can see, 5 seed beads, the carnelian, 3 seed beads, twist crystal, 3 seed beads, carnelian, and 5 seed beads, and then went back through the seed beads, went back through the second sequence of beads, as you can see in this frame, then went back around down the sequence of beads that we just added, back down around. It looks a little loose, but in this next frame you'll see that I'm going through the next carnelian bead and I've pulled it tight. And what you do is you continually add your sequence of beads. So the carnelian, 5 seed beads, the carnelian, the 3 seed beads, twisty, crystal, 3 seed beads, carnelian, and then continue until you have 5 of the crystal beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Then once you're done, you should be coming out of the carnelian bead here. It doesn't matter which side that you're on. You add 1 lantern bead, 1 English cut carnelian, 1 lantern bead, and 3 11/0 seed beads, and then add your reversible owl link. Go through the first seed bead of the owl link, add 2 seed beads, and then your lantern bead, your English cut carnelian, and your lantern bead, and go through the carnelian on the other side. Then I started going up the one side, so I went through the 5 seed beads and added 1 seed bead between each of the 5 seed beads on the one side, just to close everything off. Repeat that all the way to the top. As you can see, I did it on the left hand side, and now I'm coming out of that left hand side 11/0. Now I'm going to add 2 11/0 seed beads, the larger bead, the 11/0 seed beads, and I'm going to go through the next carnelian underneath. Then come down the 5 seed beads, go across that carnelian, and add the same sequence of beads again. So the 2 seed beads, the 2 11/0s, the larger bead, the 2 11/0s, and back down through the next carnelian the same way. Then I went down those 5 seed beads on the left, through the carnelian, back on the other side, and what I want to do is start adding the same sequence of beads on the way up. So 2 11/0 seed beads, the large bead, 2 11/0 seed beads, and go through the right hand side of that next carnelian and go up on that next carnelian, go up the 5 seed beads through the left side of that carnelian coming out the right, add the same sequence of beads again, 2 11/0 seed beads, the larger bead, and the 2 11/0 seed beads, and go through the right hand side of the next carnelian above that. And that should close off, as you can see here, that one side. And you want to repeat that on the other side. So you can go up through here, through this bead here, through these ones, and then go back around in a figure 8 like that. And that will tighten up and close off all of these. And don't forget to add your 11/0 seed bead between each of the 5 seed beads here where there's a space to close that off as well. And in this frame, you can see the sequence of beads that I added. Now you can do whatever you want here, design it however you like, but I put 1 11/0 seed bead, 1 of the larger beads, 2 of the 11/0 seed beads, and then I continued up with the lantern bead, 2 11/0 seed beads, larger bead, twist crystal, larger bead, 2 11/0 seed beads, a carnelian, and then 3 11/0 seed beads, the half matte bead, 3 11/0 seed beads, carnelian, 3 11/0 seed beads, carnelian, 3 11/0 seed beads, 3 11/0 seed beads, half matte, 3 11/0 seed beads, carnelian, and then 1 11/0 seed bead and 1 of the larger beads, bypassing that larger bead and going back down all those beads again to reinforce. Do the same on the other side, as you can see here. And then here at the bottom, I just added half round wire in antique bronze, half matte. Put a little loop at the end there, like I always do. Added the half matte and a bicone, and then looped it around and added a jump ring to put the whole thing together. Now you could have put the half round wire into the loop here, but I find the loop of the bottom of these owls was a little bit tight. So if you do that, this is not gonna dangle like, I like it to dangle freely, so I had to add the jump ring, but it looks really pretty anyway. And then I used my own chain because by this time I had no chain left. Jump rings, my own antique bronze chain, which I do have a lot of, and a lobster claw with jump rings. This is a really nice and simple design if you have a lot of beads you're not sure what to do with, because these beads were all here and it's like, I don't know what to do with these beads. I didn't want to make another bracelet. I have 3 pairs of earrings. So yeah, you can definitely put this together. It doesn't take that long. Very simple design, and it looks very pretty and unique. I really like the way that it turned out. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you guys try some of the designs that were featured here today, don't forget to tag me on Instagram. I would love to see your finished product. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. You will be notified of upcoming videos. Always inspire to be inspired, and I will see you back here for my next one. Bye.